Did you guys know that different feeder insects provide different nutritional value to your reptiles? Not to mention gut loading and even where you buy your insects from can contribute to their health as well. In this video, you'll learn all that you need to know about the nutrient levels of different feeder insects, as well as where to purchase them from and how to prepare them for your reptiles. If you happen to hear oinking going on, my pig Odie is in the background, as well as my dogs and cats. So I do apologize, but I'm doing the best I can with what I'm working with here. I'm Stephanie, and you're watching New Light Pets. So unfortunately, it's pretty common that most reptile owners don't really know just how much goes into a reptile's diet and their nutritional needs in order to keep them healthy. However, I'm hoping that today's video will kind of help to simplify this a little bit and get people more aware of the best ways and best sources to feed their reptile. To start off, let's talk about where to even obtain insects for your reptile in the first place. So I'd say the most common option would likely be chain pet stores, places like Petco or PetSmart. These places often do have feeder insects. However, in my personal experience, the options are a bit more limited. The prices are usually a bit higher, more overpriced, and in my experience, the condition of the feeder insects themselves is not the greatest. They're not usually the healthiest, and they just tend to perish a lot quicker. The second option would be to check out a local reptile shop. Some reptile shops are awesome places to obtain your feeders from. Some of them are really clean and sterile and have great options and prices, but there's also some stores that are the complete opposite of this. So really, it's kind of more a hit or miss situation. The third option, and my personal favorite, would be to use a quality online source. The reason this is my favorite option is because usually the pricing, if you're going through the right source, is much better, and the quality as well. It's also very convenient, so the overall value of getting your feeders online from a good source is the best option. Of course, this can also be hit or miss as well, so it's good to go with a source that has good reviews. I really like the Critter Depot. I recently received an order from them, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I even recently received an order of 1,000 crickets from the Critter Depot, and as many of you may know, crickets are especially difficult to maintain and keep alive. They tend to die off pretty quickly, and shipping them in general can be pretty difficult. However, with the Critter Depot, I was super impressed. As you can see, when I opened the box, the crickets were not lethargic. They were all alive and active as can be. They were healthy. The box did not smell like dead crickets. The packaging had plenty of ventilation on the sides, and they were even provided a food and hydration source. So these crickets were definitely in excellent shape when I received them. I also received an order of hornworms, which is a top favorite for many of my reptiles. And these were also in great condition as well, perfect pricing. And the ship time was super quick as well. The critterdepot.com also has a huge variety of insects, and you can get even bigger savings on your orders by signing up for a monthly subscription. And this to me is a no-brainer, as you can reliably receive your pet's healthy food order every month without even having to think about it. I also have to mention one of the best parts as well is that they guarantee live delivery on every single order. Check the description box below and you will find all of their information there. The fourth option of where to obtain feeder insects is to breed your own. I personally breed my own dubia roaches because it's very simple and It definitely helps cut back on costs. However, one thing I want to emphasize on this video is that your reptiles do need a variety. So feeding the same insect over and over again is not going to give them that nutritional diversity that they really need. So if you were to breed your own insects, you would have to have a lot of different variety of insects, and that would mean a ton of breeder boxes all over your home, and that's not for everyone. However, if you are interested in breeding your own insects, the Critter Depot also has phenomenal guides on how to do this. And I also have a video on how to create your own dubia roach colony. All that information, once again, in the description box below. I do have to throw out there that feeding wild insects, wild caught insects from your yard or out in nature is not really an ideal option for your reptiles, as oftentimes insects will carry parasites or may have come in contact with different pesticides. It's really hard to know, and you are taking a great risk in potentially putting your reptile at harm. All right, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the nutrient content of the actual insects themselves. All feeders will have different levels of things like calcium, protein, moisture content, fat, etc. For example, black soldier fly larvae notoriously have very high calcium content, whereas something like a waxworm has very high fat content. This is why, once again, it is so important to provide that variety for your animal. Feeding your animal the same insect source over and over and over again will potentially lead them to missing out on some nutritional requirements that they have. Not to mention, different species are going to have different requirements about how much they need to eat and how often, and some are also going to enjoy certain insects more than others. So make sure you are doing plenty of research about your particular species first and foremost. Now, I will not be going over each individual nutritional content of every single feeder insect. That would be an enormously long video that I'm not going to do today. However, I will provide this chart. You guys can pause the video and take a look at that. It is a great overview of just the basics of what some common staple feeders might be containing. I personally have one of these charts printed off, and I keep it in my reptile room just as a kind of a reminder so that I know what I'm providing my animals. And if you want to get even more in depth, you can check out the Critter Depot's website, as well as they have some really great guides comparing different feeders, and it gets really in depth with some really great information on there. Okay, moving on, now we need to talk about what to do before feeding your reptile and how to prepare their feeder insects for them. The number one thing here is going to be something called gut loading. Gut loading is a huge thing that should not be skipped over when it comes to feeding your reptile. So what this means is that you basically are going to be loading up the guts of the insect with healthy, nutritious things. You will want to give the insects a feast of healthy vegetables and foods that you would basically want your reptile to be receiving. Dark leafy green vegetables and colorful vegetables. You'll want to make sure that they are ingesting this food about 24 to 48 hours. Sorry for that. 24 to 48 hours prior to feeding your reptile. You can also give them sources like the Better Bug Gut Loading Diet by Missouri, and I believe Repashy has one as well. But this is just going to ensure that those insects are as healthy as they can be for your reptile. You should also be providing supplements with your feeder insects as well. So dusting with calcium is also very important. Once again, make sure you are researching your specific species to make sure that you have the right supplementation schedule for them. As you can see, reptile diets are very complex, and the importance of understanding the nutritional value of different insects can really make or break your reptile's health. The main points that you really need to take away from this video are that variety is key. Where you source your insects is also super important, and be sure to gut load. All right, guys, if you found this video helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel and check out some other videos that I have about reptile care. I have a lot of different care guides. I also put out weekly pet care videos. Leave a comment below about what your favorite reptile staple insect feeder is. Thank you all so much for being here, and until next time, you guys have a good one.